Cool. Go for it.
Hello, everyone. This is Jim Seacrest with the Allover podcast, and tonight I'm talking to Barry Gaines, and he's a award winner for some of his movies, like A World of Worlds, Jacker 2, Descent to Hell, Hell on Earth, and Burglar from Hell. So, how you doing there, Barry? What's up?
Good, man. I didn't realize I had so much hell into my title, but when you run it that way, yeah,
Yeah,
sure, I'm doing good.
yeah.
Absolutely.
So Barry, how'd you get started into this thing we call the independent movies?
Yeah, independent movies. I mean, there's nothing like it. I
Yes.
mean, I started when I was 10 years old
Huh?
with a friend of mine named Philip Herman in Far Rockaway, Queens, where I grew up.
Cool.
And his mother gave him a camera, and we just started to say, "Hey, let's do that thing, the movie stuff we've been seeing on TV." And then from there, man, I just got the bug since then. And over many years, we've filmed a whole bunch of smaller films, nothing too serious at the time. We were growing up, teenagers and everything else, and we started off in the backyard. The next thing you know, we started off with our first car in the movie, and then suddenly we had our first girl in the movie, and then we had our first nude scene as we got older. So there was a whole progression, and that's what really kind of got me on saying, you know what, this is what I love to do, and telling stories and organizing things, and inspiring actors, or just kind of getting the whole production together well enough that people actually want to see it or enjoy seeing it was really natural to me, and I just really kind of gravitate to everything about filmmaking, and that's how I knew I was meant for this. And everyone's meant for something. You feel like you wake up for something that you should be something,
Right.
and filmmaking is one of those things for me.
That's awesome that you get a chance to do what you like to do. A lot of people, they don't really, they just you know they really haven't found their right niche. At least one good thing with you, you really love what you do, and that's great, man. So what was one of your first movies that you started?
Wow, I think that one of the first movies I can say probably was when I was like 17, back in Rockaway again. And we did a movie called, it was the first time I wrote anything
Mhm.
and directed it and casted everything. And, it was like on a regular video camera, and nothing big, no studio. We just had, I had some friends, and I called them up and said, "Hey, listen, I got this script," and it was part of a movie called Tales to the End. It's
Uh-huh.
a movie that consists of three different stories. One made by, one written by me, one written by my friend Philip Herman, another one written by another gentleman at the time. So, and mine was pretty much about a knife. And so that part of it, knowing that it was just me, like I had to do everything, film it, cast it, schedule people, to see it, and I was going to school then too. So, everything
Mhm.
was a weekend, everything was outside.
Mhm.
To stunts, I did my own stunts, So that was my first one, and I remember that day because I got a really bad headache. Like when you know that nothing moves until you move, it's a whole different experience.
Uh-huh.
It's not like you're a manager of the job. The job's going to roll no matter what you do. They just want you to do your job. But when you do a film or something that you create, and if you stand there, the whole world stops until you move. And that pressure at the time really taught me, like, wow, yeah, I think I like this.
Uh-huh.
And then from there, I just, like I said, I got the bug, and I just
Yeah.
started to create, and I stuck for a while. For several years, life gets in the way.
Right.
You start working and relationships and things and such. And then I went on to another career, and I started working for Virgin Records in New York
Hmm.
back in the '90s, things like that. I became a publicist.
Wow.
So I dealt with celebrities, and that really taught me the whole publicity game and how it works. Like the little secrets and stuff that no one knows about publicity, and how that drives everything. Like the power of publicity is huge. You always hear that word thrown around, but when you work in it, you understand how heavy it is. A lot of times, to me, it's just as heavy as marketing. It comes sometimes can be actually heavier than marketing because publicity encompasses all of that. You deal with an artist's uh, uh, appearance, brand, along with marketing, of course, but this is different. That's more. It gets more personal because now you're telling the world, hey, this person likes this person like that. Or when they go in the interview, you're telling the interviewer, like, don't say this, say that, or you're telling the artist, don't stand like this. We got to put this on,
Right.
and it gets more personal. Then marketing is more to do with everything very staged. A lot of times that's when you start hitting more commercials, or you start to making sure that they're in I don't know, at a club or participating in something that people can see them. But so it's almost the same, but there's little variations that's why there's two different departments. But anyway, that's music. And then after that, I started to really want to go back on the film, and that's what I did. So after I moved to Florida 4 years ago, my wife was like, hey, I know you want to do that movie, because I stopped for a long time, like 12, 13 years. I didn't do much. And, I was like, yeah, I got to get that feeling in my stomach, And my wife was the one that actually kind of kicked me out, kicked me in the ass and said, hey, listen, we're going to wait till you're 60. It's going to take you a few years to even get this thing going. Might as well start it now. And and that's when I started to think of, an idea. And that's how I got A World of Worlds really came from I made something where it inspires. I kind of it's like a culmination of like all the movies that inspired me growing up. So I said, okay, you know what? We all like to see things what we want to see, right?
Right.
And we all every day we go out there and we go on TV or we go in the theater or we do something to try to find something that we like, right?
Right.
So I said, you know what? If I had the power to make something I want, without going and trying to find it, combing through the world, then what would it be? So that's when I said, I want to take little bits of all the movies that inspired me since I was a kid, put them all together, twist them up, twist them to like my taste, make them my own and change them up a little bit. And I said, okay, now what would I really want to see? I don't care who's in the movie, but I need a story that doesn't matter who's in the movie, the story itself should sell. And then that's how I thought of A World of Worlds.
I see.
Because it encompasses so many things. It encompasses love and hope, adventure and greediness, raunchiness, magic, so superpowers. It also being if you're kind of a spiritual person, there's a lot of spirituality in it, because it deals with reincarnation, and also actually brings up that old question that we all kind of played with for years, saying that, hey man, if I had a chance to like speak to somebody I admire from the past, what would I say? Well, this movie kind of gives you that idea, because when they look for the reincarnation of one of the kings, I mean, think about it, they're going to want to ask, yo, listen, we read about you all this time, 2,000 years ago. It's like, that's a big gap. Is this stuff real? I mean, are the books real? And that's kind of like a piece of the story itself, and it's something to play with. And but the story has a lot of edges to it, and there's a lot more to it. But it's an exciting, nice story that I hope that people enjoy.
So before we talk about that, can we? What about some of these other movies that you've made, like Hell on Earth? Was that like one? Was that one of your first ones, or was that way?
Yeah, that was one of our first. That was our first, like I guess you could say, epic. As being young. I mean, I did that when I was like 16.
Oh wow!
It took us 2 years to even do it, and this was done in '87, I think it was. But it took us from '85 to '87. And it took us 2 years to even film that thing, and it was actually written by Philip Herman, the gentleman, my best friend who got me started in all this film stuff. And he had the camera and everything else. And he put it together pretty much, and I was acting in it, and I was helped directing a little bit of it, and so I was really more acting. And yeah, it took us 2 years. And it took us so long that unfortunately, one of our actors, our good friends and stuff, died of AIDS during that time, I believe. And so, it's one of those things where when stuff like that happens, something kind of morbid or tragic, happens during the making of any kind of creation that you're doing, I look at that. That really kind of opened my eyes, and I looked at that by saying, you know what, this is more than just kind of running around in front of a camera hoping people laugh or whatever. This is more of like this kind of holding people's essence in a way.
Mm-hmm.
And you can always revisit these people at the same age. No matter how old you get, they're always going to stay that age, and you can always hear them and see them. And that's something that's eternal. I mean, that's going to be well beyond your days and my days.
Mm-hmm.
So even when people come 100 years later, when I'm dead and gone, they can still see us.
Yeah.
Still see my friends.
Yeah.
So movie making is a little more than just kind of lights and that, and special effects and holding people laugh or cry. Is really more to do with holding life itself. To me, that's how I look at it myself. So I'm kind of a spiritual person that way. So
Okay.
yeah, that's how it works for me.
Yeah, that's cool. What about Burglar from Hell? That sounds like a good one.
Yeah, Burglar from Hell was funny because Burglar from Hell was written by Philip Herman again, because he did most of the writing and directing at that time, and I was mostly acting and doing a lot of camera work. And that was fun. That was really a simple story that was kind of adventurous. That was actually the movie that we had our first nude scene from a woman named Debbie D, who still does film to this day.
Uh-huh.
And it was cool because it was a simple story of a burglar goes into a house of an old lady. He's burglarizing it. He doesn't know she's there. She kind of pops up on him and everything else, and with a shotgun and shoots him, buries him in the backyard. And then next thing you know, is just life happens, and he comes back and haunts and just terrorize everybody.
Oh, okay. That's cool. That sounds like a cool song.
It was straightforward. Yeah, we were younger then. I did that when I was a little older. I must have been around like 20, 21. But that's pretty much the premise. That was fun to do.
Yeah. Now Jacker. What's that about? The Jacker?
Jacker, I did when I was older too. I did that when I was about 24, 25. And that one, we got a little more serious with that one. That took us about a year and change to make, and it was pretty much straightforward story. It was just more a guy who was in a dead-end job, and he didn't care about the world, and he pretty much said, you know what, he just kind of cracked. And he just went out carjacking people, killing people, terrorizing people, and the cops were after him, but for some reason they couldn't find him. They couldn't catch up with him. And the closer they get to him, the more body bags start to pop up. And that's how it kind of continued. And I was one of the guys, one of the characters that got away. So since I got away, he was kind of trying to terrorize me. So and he didn't really kill me. He was more like just terrorizing me. So he was killing like family members around me, friends around me. So I became like a tormented character in the whole thing. But it was really fun to do. I mean, that was more of a serious subject, but it was fun.
I was just wondering. I didn't understand the Jacker part. I was like, I live around Pittsburgh, and Jacker sometimes means something else, so I wasn't sure.
If it's anything negative, that's pretty much what it would mean. Carjacking.
Yeah, I see. Well, like I said, I didn't read the thing. I just saw, oh, Jacker, that sounds interesting.
There you go, man. That's part of marketing right there.
Yeah. But I was like, but yeah, I never thought, Jacker jacking cars and stuff like that. It's like,
We were going to call it carjacker, but it seemed kind of whack, kind of simple. So we Jacker.
Jacker, yeah.
That was dangerous. Yeah, it was fun.
Yeah.
Good times.
So you acted. Did you what's the main thing that you like the best? Did you like acting, or do you like doing what you're doing now?
No, I loved acting. I mean, I was always into actors and actresses that actually did roles that had some kind of meat to it, and even physical meat to it. Some people just have that thing, that they just speak and everybody wants to kind of listen to them. And I really enjoy more physical acting. I mean, I
Hmm.
like to be in adventure movies. I like to be able to yell and scream and all that. And so I was really gravitated to more of that subject matter because I think it's just more exciting. Every now and then, of course, you're going to want to sit there and go through some soliloquy.
Hmm.
But really, what interests me was just being more of like a physical actor. So I went for more roles like that. But I do enjoy it. But and I still enjoy it. The little I do in my own movies, I mostly do voice stuff.
Hmm.
But yeah, I kind of but I really, really, really enjoy directing and producing. It's like really what I love to do. Like that's what I was made to do.
Yeah.
You know, storytelling is very natural to me. So yeah, that's why I really enjoy doing that.
I talk to a lot of the producers and directors and writers, and I always, some of them that did act, I said, do you like doing that the most, or not really the most, but like, did you enjoy doing that? Is that why, or whatever? And they're usually, yeah, it was okay. I just got, in some movies, but I really enjoy, like you're saying, I really enjoy directing. Enjoy producing and getting my movie out, which is awesome. You know, um, as far as that.
Oh yeah, definitely. I mean, it's nothing like seeing, you know, whatever you create, um, from the very beginning to the end.
Mhm.
It's nothing like it.
Yeah, I was like, I couldn't understand. I was talking, and I said, like, most of the time in Hollywood, it seems like the actors usually go from acting, and then they go to directing, to to more stuff. But you know, I guess when you have a passion more so to what you really want to do, being an independent movie maker and all, that's what drives you, even though, to get your stuff out, and, because that's what you want to do. So I think that's a little bit different compared to Hollywood, huh?
Yeah, no, it's funny. As big, no matter how big as anyone gets in this industry, it really goes down to the basics. I mean, because you know, acting and directing and writing, all different beasts,
Mm-hmm.
and those are all different people. And it's the only way I can explain to if anyone hasn't been in the industry at all really is look at a football team. People are designed for certain things. Their brain works a certain way, and when you're a quarterback, I mean, if you're a wide receiver, you don't want to be a quarterback. You just say,
Right.
just tell me what I need to do, and I'll do it. And that's an actor. They don't want to think about all the technicals and all that stuff. Just tell me what I need to say. Tell me where I need to go, and I'll do it, and that's it. They don't want any more than that. They want to be able to do their thing and go home.
Right.
And then of course a quarterback is the person that's going to wants to run the whole ship. That his mind, just works that way, where he can see 13 different things move at once, and know exactly where everything is going and where they need to be and why they need to be there. And if anyone wants to come to him and ask him why, he will have a solid answer for every little thing. And that's what a director is. Producers. I always look at producers as they're the hustle man.
Mm-hmm.
They're your pimps. They're the guy that go out there and get your money.
Right.
And those are the guys that actually will say, hey, listen, I can get this, I can get that. This is what we need. I'll get it. And that's how producers work. And so your mind has to work that way. You're always going to have to be on the hustle all the time. It never ends. And in a director's mind, our mind is every little. It's very detailed, and you excited about the smallest thing. And it's funny because I think some directors can relate to this, where the smallest thing excites the hell out of you, and if someone's not excited about that little thing that you thought about, it
Mm-hmm.
annoys you because to you it's huge.
Right.
Because that minor thing, a lot of times, is that very moment in a movie that makes you, as a fan or you as a moviegoer, love that movie more, just because you may come out and say, "God, I love that. Remember that scene?" See, when they say those words, remember that scene?
Mm-hmm.
That's the little thing that we got so excited for because we had a good idea. That's what's going to hook people. But if we
Right.
tell you that, it doesn't sound like anything to you. But when we put it together, it's I always use I use this example. If you ever talk about something and someone doesn't really understand, but you know it's going to be really cool when it's done, you say, you know what, you know how it is. Do you remember Amadeus? and Amadeus was
Mm-hmm.
dying on the bed, and Salieri was there writing his last piece. And as he was writing his last piece, he couldn't understand how or why Amadeus was telling him to write these certain notes. It didn't make sense to him.
Mm-hmm.
But Amadeus was like, just do what I'm telling you to do, just do it. So, but Salieri didn't understand what was happening until it all came together. And that's when he saw it, and he's like, oh,
Mm-hmm.
that's what you mean. Because
Yeah.
half the time, us artists, they're not going to see our vision until it's done.
Right.
So you have to understand and do your best to inspire people just enough to have them help you to a point.
Mm-hmm.
As long as they understand why they're doing what they're doing at that moment, that's all you need them to do. And it's up to you to complete everything else. So when you pull back, and say, okay, all right, guys, you put it all together, and everyone kind of sits back and looks at it, then they understand.
Right.
So that's pretty much how I look at everything I create or how people create stuff. So that's why I really criticize people's art, until it's all done. I
Right.
don't really, I
Right.
get it. I get it.
Yeah. So they see the whole vision, the whole vision of what you're trying to create, and that's
Right.
the magic part. You know,
Right.
and that's
Exactly.
interesting. So let's talk about A World of Wars. I got a chance to watch some of it, and it was really good. How did you, like I said, I guess you came up with from different things that you were telling me about. But what was one of your main how do you say it? What was one of the main ideas though? I mean, I know you took things from different, but was it more like
Yeah.
the fantasy world or?
Well, I was always into sci-fi and fantasy and action. That was always my thing. It's my cup of tea. And for this particular one, what really the main movie, I guess you could say I kind of got inspired from. And I got inspired by many, but
Okay.
if you're asking like a main one,
Yeah.
would be probably there's an old kung fu movie called The Five Deadly Venoms. And anyone who's a kung fu fan knows this movie is a classic. I mean, it's a world-renowned classic. And the movie was about these five guys who were trained in a particular style. They never really saw each other, but they were trained since they were kids and they were men. And there were five of them. Well, they got to a point where they were masters at what they did, so their masters said, okay, go out into the world and do your thing. Well, then over time, two of them became bad. There's one that was missing, and then the other two, they didn't know where the other two went. But there were two that was causing havoc. They created a gang, and they were terrorizing the town and the city and the state. So the master had one more student before he died, and he taught the student all five styles. The student couldn't master each one, but he taught him all of them, a little bit of all of them. And he said, "Hey, listen, you need to find those two and kill them because that's our name." And they went out and they went against like our cardinal rule for even of our styles.
Mm-hmm.
So the kid was like, "Well, how do I know who they are?" He said, "You won't. Um, they only will. They will only let their style come out when they're threatened." He said, "But the only way to beat them is you have to get with another one." He said, "Well, how do I find that person?" Same way. The only time you're gonna see their style is when they threaten. So it's up to you to try to find them. You gotta team up with one so you can kill the other two.
Hmm.
So that story, The Five Deadly Venoms, is a classic, and that movie itself kind of inspired me to kind of do mine. So you'll see a little pinch of that story in mine a little bit.
Hmm.
So Sophia trying to find the four kings. So and but it's a little different, but you can see where my story kind of got inspired by that story a little
I
bit.
see. Yeah, I remember back in the day they used to put a lot of the kung fu movies on Saturday. I I,
That's
I, I
right.
probably I
Private
probably
movie.
I probably watched one. There's so many. I love them, and it was cool that Tarantino took that as well and made Kill Bill because that was a pretty
Right.
cool thing
Yeah.
with how
Yeah. He did.
he does
He
his
did.
he
And he
does
was
his
he was
movie.
a fan of Five Deadly Venoms because Five Deadly Venoms was made by a company called Shaw Brothers, and they made like the best kung fu movies ever.
Mhm.
And actually, he was a big fan too. That Gordon Liu, who was big in Shaw Brothers at the time back in the '80s, he was in um, the Tarantino's Kill Bill.
Uh-huh.
He was when she was with all the when she was in, I guess, in that building, and all the guys in black came around. There was a main guy with a mask on. That was Gordon Liu.
Oh.
Everyone knew who Gordon Liu was. So Gordon Liu was from the Shaw Brothers. He must have did like 12, 13 films with them. So
I
no one
see.
knew who he was.
Oh,
So
okay.
that style that he did and everything really was from was really from Shaw Brothers.
Huh.
So yeah, Shaw Brothers is big, man. They're legends.
I see.
So and that's what also too real quick. You know the Wu-Tang Clan, the hip
Yeah.
hop group, the old hip hop group.
Yeah.
That's where they got their name from. They got their name from the Shaw Brothers because in one of the episodes there was a group called Wu-Tang,
Uh-huh.
Wu-Tang Clan.
Yeah.
So us growing up in the '80s, we were '80s kids.
Yeah.
So that was big. So that's why those guys call themselves Wu-Tang Clan. It was actually from the Shaw Brothers movie.
I always thought that. I always thought it was like what you were saying, that name. But yeah, honest, I did. I thought, are these guys Chinese?
So that's what they do, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But that's
So
cool.
everything has a kind of an origin,
Right.
But yeah. So that's my. But when it comes, but even with mine and stuff, I look at that and like I said, like you was asking me about the inspirations.
Right.
Like I said, it came from a lot of places, and it's not just actually just like making a movie, but I really wanted something that if people just hear the story, they just want to see it.
Mm-hmm.
They didn't really care who was in it. So I made sure that I made an interesting story that got me excited and got my stomach all riled up and just like giddy like a little schoolgirl, and I'm like, I can't wait for this to be done. And that's what I wanted first, because I wasn't going to have any celebrities in here. It
Right.
was going to be just kind of hardworking people that just want to make something cool.
Right.
And that's what we did, and we did it with no money. It wasn't like I was always the kind of guy, because since I started young, and we didn't have much.
Mm-hmm.
I know how to do a lot with nothing. And I said, one thing I always keep in mind is that people really don't care about how many people were behind the camera. People really don't care. What they care about is showing them in front of that lens. So however you get to where you want to get to in front of that lens is all that matters, and that's how I look at everything.
Mm-hmm.
So if I put the effects, I put an actor, I put the wardrobe on, I give them a cool environment. That's all people care about.
Right.
And that's what I want to give them, and that's what I'm trying to, to exploit. Just those fun moments that that I can actually try to make with next to nothing. And so that's pretty much what I did. No money, just got a camera,
Right.
people, an idea, and went out, man. I'm not gonna wait till everything is right and perfect, and I got the budget. I'm like, I'd be waiting forever.
Mm-hmm.
So I said, let's make a proof of concept. Let's just go for it, And
Mm-hmm.
what it fall was going to fall. Of course, it's not going to be a high brow, production value movie, obviously. But I said, it's not about that. If people like the story, that's good enough, because we see it too many times. We all wasted too much money in the past in a movie that cost so much money and it's just crap.
Right.
And then,
Right.
vice versa. Something that's really tiny is just brilliant.
Mm-hmm.
So it's all about storytelling and rhythm and pace. And the production value is nice, but it doesn't save you.
Yeah. What I really, like I was telling you earlier, what I really liked about the movie is, I mean, and like you said, now there's but the thing was, what I liked was the effects. The effects was really cool.
Yeah.
And I was like, wow, that's what like set it off with me, because I'm like, okay, this is interesting. But I really enjoyed that part of it. Like I was telling you this, it kind of reminded me of a video game, style movie, which was cool. I like the villains that have the long hair, and I was like, oh, this is neat, and then you throw some action in it, and that's cool too, because I so you got a little bit of just about everything in this movie, and that's what I liked about. Like I said, I can't say enough for the effects. I mean, I liked how you did the world, and it looks like they're colliding. That's really interesting. I really thought that was cool.
Thanks, man. No, thank you. Yeah, it was it was one of those things that you just kind of think about it as you go, and and I just really wanted to make sure that whoever looks at it just want to keep watching it. And I'm not like and I wrote the whole thing, and I'm not like a writer. I mean, I'll tell people right now, I'm not a writer, but I want to make it where I understand how it is when people watch a low budget film, since I did it for so many years, and people lose attention really fast. We're talking about seconds.
Mm-hmm.
And if I can just keep people just kind of interested to know what's going to happen next, sometimes you actually doing that, and I do it purposely. So when you hear how the dialogue runs, or you see how things maybe jump a little bit, whatever,
Mm-hmm.
all that is purposely done because I'm not going to sit here and go in this long soliloquy with somebody and talk and talk and talk and talk. I said, listen, we're doing a fantasy action film. Get to it. And I think a lot of more movies are done wrong that way than anything else. You got a lot of Netflix movies that do that,
Right.
and it's like just get going with the film. I mean, you can say what you have to say for the moment and move on, So, and that's why when you watch it, of course, I was very limited, especially with time. I mean, a lot of things I had to do one time, and that was it. I couldn't go back to redo it. It wasn't like we had all the time in the world to do what we did. And and I always want my actors and everyone to know. I said, listen, man, with the limited time we had, with the limited equipment that we had, I think we should be proud of what we did, because if people knew what we did with, they wouldn't even know how we did it. So, it's just a matter of saying, let's just look cool, be cool, and write something cool.
Right.
And entertain people. The main thing is like, were you entertained when it was over with? That's all I really care about at the moment, and that's what we want to give to our audience. And this story is really not meant for kids. I mean, I'm kind of playing it cool now.
Right.
It's really more of an adult film.
Yeah.
So if you look at like remember like the Heavy Metal magazine, that's pretty much the world I'm building.
Yeah.
If
Okay.
you want to see it, to get an idea of where I want to go, So it's one of those things. Mixed with Blade Runner, mixed with Lord of Rings. And even had a nice big chunk of what's the movie? Sucker Punch. So you have these influences there. But really,
you said Heavy Metal. Did you ever watch that movie, Heavy Metal, the cartoon?
Yeah, man. When I was a
That's
kid,
awesome, huh?
I watched it 100 times.
Oh, I know.
It was so inspirational.
Yeah. I don't know if you watch any South Park, but I love watching South Park, and they did a parody of that, and that was so funny. I liked. I don't know. I just loved. I just I love that movie.
We have more of that, right? Why can't we have more of that? But that's so fun. It's so cool to see that.
Yes. Yes.
I mean, think about we made that live action now, and that's what I'm trying to do.
Oh yeah.
Still, and yeah, that's what I want to go for. Obviously I don't have the money to do it, but I want to get as close as I possibly can until I can get a budget and hopefully in time get an investor, get donations enough where we can actually put this at the level I know it deserves to be. If people can just see the inside of it, just the side of it, say, okay, I can tell where this person wants to go.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I'm aiming to do and show.
Right.
At the same time, I would like for it to stand on its own. So, people can look at it the way they want to look at it, how you want to look at it. You can look at it as a piece within itself, or you can look at it as something for people to get an idea to invest in.
Right.
But either way, I'm here. I want for it to entertain.
Yeah.
People. But I tell you what, man. I just want to say this. I know you was mentioning the effects, which is so cool. And,
Yeah.
I have to give much love to my effects guy now. In the beginning of the movie there was another gentleman that helped me out.
I see.
But in the new ones now, from part 2 on, there's a gentleman by the name of Prakash Kamdarjan. He's in India.
Okay.
So I can say pretty much this is a global effort that you're looking at.
Wow.
Because number one, the visual effects is, like I said, there's a gentleman in India, great guy. It's not cheap to do those things. That's several thousand per movie, per episode. And then, but he gave me a break anyway. He does a really good job. And then I have the music combination, like the first couple of episodes, a gentleman by the name of Michael Vignola, and he's in Staten Island. And he did my music. And now I got a new guy named Andrea Bellucci. He's in Italy. And he's doing the music for my upcoming series, number 5 and on, and that's going to just give it a different feel. So I'm always trying to kind of, if people just stick with watching it and give it a shot, they'll see progress, they'll see growth,
Yeah.
they'll see change. I want to, so when people watch it, I want to always be able to look forward to something, even with nothing. I want to give as much as I can with something, and that's all heart and love and just storytelling.
Yeah. Yeah, I even like we were talking about earlier about the beginning of the movie, and we were saying about the guy saying that one of the lead people he was saying he felt that he was for something bigger. He knew that he
Right.
was meant for something bigger, and that was interesting because a lot of people, they don't see things that way. They don't think of themselves as, you know, they just feel like there's just an average Joe. I pay the bills and all that. They don't see what their impact are on people's lives. You know what I'm saying? I mean,
Yeah.
just even that, which was really neat. Even though the guy just seemed like he just going through the motions and all, and
Yeah.
his good buddy Jimmy was trying to help him out and all, but I knew I picked that up. I thought that was interesting. He feels the potential, but he just don't know what it is yet. So that's a cool concept. I like that a lot. Because
Right.
you got to you got to bring you got to have some kind of a story, and that was interesting by you know it's just I mean, you could use that for just about anything, especially like stories in the Bible where somebody
Hmm.
just he's nobody, you don't even know who he is, and he does great things because God saw that potential in him. So yeah, I really like that style where something's and people if they
Something like eating, yeah. Something's like excuse me. Something like eating inside of him, right? And I
yeah
think a lot of people kind of feel like that. You're going through life and you have a family, whatever. But there's always something that you felt like you want to do something more. Maybe if you don't know what it is, but you felt this is not really what you want to do, but hey, I have to do it, or I'm grateful for what I have for the time being.
right
But you always feel there's something else, and that's where I got it from, and and that's how I felt. And
right.
I'm hoping that people can relate to that. I think they can, and those guys, the actors and stuff. A lot of some of them what never acted before.
Mhm.
Like the guy who played Jimmy, he never acted before.
Really.
He's a police officer.
No way. He
So
did a good job. I
yeah,
was like yeah, I
yeah.
kind of
So
rooted for
like
Jimmy. I liked him, man.
yeah, people kind of liked you. He was kind of quirky and it was fun. The gentleman is really cool. My main guys, you can tell my main guys. Those guys
Yeah.
are pros. The gentleman Rob Ritos who plays Eric, and then Daphne Avril Bless who plays Sophia.
Uh huh.
The woman,
Yeah. Yeah. She's
and
good.
then those guys. So they yeah, she's they're pretty attractive. I know.
What
And
about I didn't
but
say that.
yeah. Hey, if you're gonna watch, we're in the business of entertainment, man. People don't want to see. They want to see something good on the screen.
And there's another
That's
thing.
the
There's
business.
another thing too. The women. You have a lot of the women taking a lead role as a leader. I kind of like
Yeah,
that
yeah,
also. That was
yeah,
cool. You
yeah.
don't get me
That's
wrong. There's still
that's
guys that are leaders, but you have women that are also, like the lieutenant and all, and it wasn't, which is really cool. You really got a dynamic of, the world as what it should be. Everybody is something in this movie, and which is really cool that way. You know.
yeah. I try to. That's actually purposely done, and I just like I grew up. I was pretty much the only child growing up.
I
I
see.
have brothers and sisters, but I grew up as the only child, and I grew up with a lot of women around me, and all the women around me were strong,
Right.
and they told me how to work on cars. They told me how to drive. They're the ones that taught me to say, hey, get out there, have fun. Don't worry about
Right.
tying down. So they were like the father as well, and also, but I do have my father. Don't get me wrong. I made my father very tight.
That's good.
He's the best. But but it was only like a handful of guys and like a whole farm of women.
Right.
So it's kind of like it kind of translates into my story.
Hmm.
So the women I have truly are like that. Like the actresses I have. Grace Vitale and Nicole Johnson and like I said, Daphne. All of them, when you meet them, they pretty much they're the sweetest things in the world, but the strength is there because I'm like, you know what? you may be acting, but I'm always looking for somebody who naturally has it because we can see when it's fake.
Uh-huh.
We're human.
Right.
We're an audience. We see this all the time. We've seen it 1,000 times. And you see people that, okay, they got the role, they're acting it or whatever, and you're just watching the movie as it goes along. But there's nothing like seeing an actress, playing a role, and she looks exactly like where she needs to be.
Right.
It doesn't even look like she's acting, and that's rare. It's not very common. So my best thing was I always try to get people as close as I possibly can to my actors who are in real life.
Right.
And Daph is like the main girl. Daph, she
Mm-hmm.
is pretty much. She's the sweetest thing in the world. She laughs a lot, but she has an edge.
Mm-hmm.
She had hardship. She's a mother.
Right.
She's gone through things. So when she's acting and everything, and all that comes out, it's real, and people can feel it. And I'm
Mm-hmm.
quite sure other mothers who watch this show can see these little idiosyncrasies in her and saying, "Yeah, she's a mom. I know she is."
Right.
So these are things that I look at. So that's what I'm saying. Just the little details that goes behind your casting.
Uh-huh. Yeah. Always when I watch a movie, I don't even look at it as I'm watching an independent movie. I look at it as I'm watching a movie and I want to be entertained, and I really was. I really, like I said, I didn't get a chance to finish it all. Well, I'm gonna probably go after I'm done talking to you. I'll probably go back and finish it. But it's been good so far. I really enjoyed it. I love the clothes. That's really cool. I mean, the wardrobes are nice. I think that's it's part of it, and but I really, like I said, so far I enjoy it. Can I ask you a question though? Now,
Yeah.
the guy, okay, I don't want to I'm trying not to give too many spoilers, but the guy that's, the guy that's in the suits. Now, okay, so are them guys like guys from Earth? Because it's like, I was just curious why these guys are in suits. I wasn't, you know
That's
what I
good.
mean?
I like that. That's great that you actually asking that, and I want people to ask that. Being that the world is very big, there's a lot of like you said, like you want to know who these guys are, and that's great. And I want people to ask that. Those guys are everybody in this story is a species. You see, and
Okay.
this world is it's a parallel universe, right? On
Right.
a magic planet called Overseer.
Yeah.
So this world has species. Everybody is something different. So since Syl is taking over everything and just kind of disrupting the fabric, the entire planet, of course he's enslaving and he's killing and he's pillaging and any species who's not with him he kills. But those species who want to survive, he gives them a job. But those guys in the suits have a very special skill set, which is why they're behind every lieutenant or anybody, a kind of one of the higher ranking soldiers of Syl's armies.
I see.
So they're like their backup, but they have to have some type of special skill set. So each one of them has something special, but you don't know until they get into a moment and you see what makes them special.
Oh, okay.
So that's what they're about. So as the story goes along, you start like the first person going to see it. Like for example, like Mira Chris, and she's the young one in the story that you'll see, and she has a guard behind her too. And eventually, over time, you're going to see what's cool, what's special about him.
Mm-hmm.
And they all have. So that's pretty much what they are.
I see.
And that's just part of the subplot of it. And those people who are the soldiers and stuff sometimes don't want to be soldiers. They just they have to be, or they'll die.
Right.
And there's a whole bunch of creatures that kind of are out and about or are just out of their environment, and everything is uneasy, and everything's like kind of flipped up a little bit. That's why you have, there's a goon in there, and you see, kind of running around,
Yeah.
chasing people and stuff, and it's like, why are they doing that? Like, who are these people? And sometimes, I want people, when they listen to this and understand that, listening to the dialogue, I do put a lot of nuggets in there because I don't, like I said, it's so much involved that I don't want to sit there and just kind of ramble on, about things.
Right.
I want to kind of throw it out there, and then it'll add up as it goes along. So you'll hear all the little nuggets in the story as you
So,
look at it.
so I'll tell you, this is where I'm at right now. I'm at where the guy that's supposed to be a spy, and then the guy with the hook, was coming after him. All right.
Yeah, the groom.
And then he's, yeah, okay. And he's like, oh, and then he finds a coin and says, oh, I didn't know you were brother, And
Right.
then you were saying about, then the lieutenant, she shows up with the guy in the suit,
Right.
so to speak. I want to call them the Men in Black.
They do kind of like Men in Black, don't
Yeah, yeah, they got the glasses,
Tricks,
Yeah, yeah, that's it too. That's what I was also thinking. What are these, But anyway, that's basically where I'm at, and she's like telling him, stuff. So, and this other guy,
Okay.
yeah, and this other guy, he's with the Resistance, right? He did a good job. I really loved his the action part where they were fighting and all. That was really good.
Thanks, man. Thanks. Yeah, I put all that together, and and we did that in one day.
Wow.
The fight scene took about maybe 6 hours, well, about 5 hours.
Wow.
To put it all together. And then, you're only there for like a couple minutes, but yeah, we put that together and we rehearsed at my house and everything when we can. Because if people understand, I still work a 9-to-5 job.
Yeah.
And everyone does, and it's really hard to kind of get everybody together and rehearse. And so I try to always make, if it's going to be a fight scene, to choreograph a fight scene that won't take too long to learn. But I want to do my best to direct it where it does give a good big impact, although it didn't take much learning to do.
Right.
So that's how I put it together. So it's because the world that I'm creating, there are so many things I think it's going to be exciting. Like, for example, this is not said, so I want people to understand this as well. Is that, but later on I'll say this in other episodes, but the world itself is actually about 2 times bigger than Earth, and Earth doesn't know about Earth.
Yeah, I noticed that.
They do. Yeah.
Right.
So, but they do, and that's why. But no one knows how to bridge. Only Sophia knows how to bridge, and that's why she goes and she finds the first king.
Uh-huh.
And just thinking about, I just want people to understand when they see everything the king is going through and what she has to find. There's 3 more.
Cool.
And they're
Cool.
all scattered. Because that's why they were called the Royal Four.
Mm-hmm.
So people who listen to this, they understand. I'm not giving anything away, but that's the story's about. She had to find the Royal Four because they were alive 2,000 years ago, and those particular guys, like I said, got inspired from the 5 deadly venoms. Those particular 4 have the 4 of the strongest art forms. I call them art forms. It's magic,
Mm-hmm.
but I call them art forms. So, but they possess like the 4 strongest art forms that the planet has ever had.
Mm-hmm.
And that's how they used to protect their land 2,000 years ago. And that's why it's 4 of them, north, south, east, west. But when Ezeal, at that time, he learned all 4. He was a prodigy. And he just started to want to take over everything. So he built an army of war and just started to pillage and take over towns and cities, which was bleeding obviously into theirs. So when they came about and they got their armies together with his, and those 4 took down Ezeal barely because he was so strong.
I see.
And they killed him and put him in the ground.
Yeah.
So that's why today Syl knows about this legend. But you got to figure, Rasir has things like we have. They have cars and they have buildings and electricities, but they still use magic. Like, they don't use matches. They say a chant and the fire comes on.
Right.
But things been so diluted that people think now that the Royal Four is a fable, like a children's story.
Mm-hmm.
And but when everything happened, Sophia Hayden and her team, they understand the story is real and they believe it, and they going out because they know they need this. They just need this to be real.
Mm-hmm.
And there's more behind it about why Sophia finds them and why she has the stone, which is the stone of essence.
Oh, yeah, okay, she's sitting and talking to the king. Is that the stone there? Where it's all like she's sitting down and she's talking to the king, and he didn't know who he was at first.
Right.
Is that what that is in her hand? Like, it's okay, I get it.
Yeah. So when you hear her speak, you hear her. She's explaining what this is.
Okay.
Why she's there.
Okay.
So she explains everything before it goes crazy.
I see.
So So that's why you got to figure out how does she find it? How does she know about this? And this is why she wasn't sure.
Mm-hmm.
And him coming back, he's back and that he's not. And one thing I want people to understand about the series too is that when you see the king, think of it this way. He's the king of old, and he's a reincarnated body of what he was.
Right.
But he has a whole life today: a mother, father, past experiences, all that.
Mm-hmm.
Now, when the memory starts to come back because he's back on his planet, and Mother, that's what I call the planet, Mother, it starts to fuse with his essence again, little by little. So when you start seeing an event that happens in there, he has two lives in his head.
Right.
This is the pain and the agony
Yeah.
that's going on with him. He doesn't know who he is. So he has thousands of images rolling through his head, thousands of feelings running through it. So he knows the people of today, but then also, too, he knows his wife and kid of 2,000 years ago and the people that died at war with him and all that.
Mm-hmm.
And then also now he also has this life of his kids, and his family and his life today.
Yeah, when I saw that, I thought it was the guy that, so this is more so when he's seeing these images in his head, because I was like, is this that guy? I was like, no, where's Jimmy at? I didn't see Jimmy, but okay, I got you now. That's more so his side. I got you. Okay.
Yeah,
that kind of confused me.
He's getting pulled apart.
Right. Right.
It's kind of like that. So he has to kind of, and that's Sophia's there to kind of help him focus. But one thing that I want to explain, what people know too, it's called realization, is what's happening with him that she's putting him through. But no one has ever done it before. Like, this is their first time.
Mm-hmm.
So they don't know what to expect. And so him going through this process and them going through these fighting and this experience, she has to now, he's going to help find the other three. And they have to go through it. And that's a whole other thing because they're all a little different.
I see.
So there's two more kings and then there's one queen. But where are they? Are they in Rasier or are they on Earth? So they have to kind of find them before Syl can find Uziel, because you see Syl wants to bring back Uziel from the grave. He has to find him. He doesn't know where he is, but he has to find him. But then now he does have an idea where he is now. Mm-hmm. So his job is to resurrect Uziel so he can learn the four main styles, the four main art forms. So he can then have enough power to, of course, take over Rasier and Earth, and at the same time rule by Uziel's side, because Uziel is as strong as they ever lived. So, but it's a process of actually bringing him back.
Okay.
So that's a very long process, but he needs to kind of find him. But there's going to be something else that comes along that Syl is pretty much a soldier. He is not the king just yet. So there's something else that's going to come around, and you're going to start seeing who, just like years ago when you saw Star Wars and you saw Darth Vader, you didn't know Darth Vader had an emperor. I was kind of surprised. Like, oh, there's somebody over him?
Mm-hmm.
You're like, oh, what? And that's how it is with Syl. Everything starts coming out to fruition and seeing why he wants it so bad too. So it all comes out a little by little. So what you see here in World of Worlds is just maybe 0.5% of the story I'm going to tell. It has a lot of legs up to it. There's a lot of angles going to come into play. And what's really cool is that we're going to start traveling, and we're going to go to different places, different environments. New characters going to come about, new fighting. And like I said, it's not for kids. So you're going to have some nudity coming in, more of that. And you're going to have some more blood and guts. And at the same time, you're going to have the spiritual journey on top of that. So we try to check all the boxes as much as I can.
Now, so after this one, will you do a part two? Because like I said, I didn't get a chance to watch the ending or whatever. Is there going to be a part two?
Yeah, actually,
awesome.
There's 2 more episodes that are already done.
Oh, good.
And I'm finishing up the effects on number 4. Number 4, actually, guys, anybody listens to now, once you watch it, at the end, after the credits, there's a preview of number 4.
Oh, okay.
And number 5 is, so I'm almost finished with number 4 now. Number 5, I'm about to put the effects on that one. And then now, in about 2 months, I already filmed the next set. Well, there's actually another scene for the new season.
Okay.
So I'll already start to film that now. So that's going to be different, It's going to sound different. It's going to look different. And everyone's coming back, and it's going to be like more action, and it's
nice.
going to be badass.
Nice. Um,
So it's coming.
and that will be on Prime too, I hope. W-
Yeah. No, say it again. I'm sorry. What was you
so
saying?
that will be on Prime as well.
Yeah, all the
Cool.
stuff is coming on Prime little by little. Right
Nice.
now,
Nice.
I was just fortunate enough to get my first distribution deal, and that's why it's on Prime right now. It's also on another station, another channel called SoFi TV, which is in Sweden.
Oh.
So we're trying to go global with this.
Hmm.
But one of my main things too is that I want this to come out quicker, but being that I'm the only one funding it, it takes
Right.
time because, like I said, effects cost money. And that's why we're always looking for donations. Even looking for if anybody wants to be an angel investor or really will help us out. But on top of that, not just help us out to have something cool on, online and everything, but also too it gives people jobs, man.
Right.
I mean, this is something where if I had a budget, if someone wants to give me 10,000 or even 12,000 to kind of get things done, I can
Hmm.
actually hire people who are here local. I can hire even people who are coming out of school, kids coming out of school who want to know how to get into this industry, or even want to be involved and not sure how like a film set works, but want to be. Because a
Hmm.
lot of people don't, and it's
Right.
something to kind of give them a chance. So this is one of the big deals too, as well. That's why I was looking for sponsors as well. It's
That's
not just about telling stories, but it's also about teaching.
Yeah, and that's nice that you're doing that. I mean, really, you're giving these, these students, these people that want to do this, they know that, this is what they want to do. That's so nice of you to, bring them along with you, and they'll learn, and that's awesome, man. I think that's great.
Thank you, thank you. That's one of the big deals with this. So I want people to know it's just not entertaining, but it's also, like I said, it's also building and giving people positions, and it's a lot involved. And
Yeah,
I want to be part of that. That's why I'm so stoked about doing this. It just trying to catch every angle as much as I can with this one story.
yeah. Well, like I said, so far, I'm really enjoying the movie, and we're talking about a world of wars. Wait, a world of worlds, and
Yep, singular and plural.
it's I
Yeah,
know
yeah,
it's a
no.
tongue twister for the sometimes
But it's
I'm
all right though. I mean,
yeah I'm a
it's
real
easy.
person. I'm a real person. Sometimes we all make mistakes, and lots of times it happens with me with words. So
Well, it's not easy on the tongue,
no, it's
but
not.
that's all right though. World of worlds, it's not easy, but that's all right.
Yeah,
At least get people. At least it sticks in you. It sticks in your tongue.
yeah, it
That
does.
that's the main thing.
Yeah, and it's cool. At first, when I was trying to find it, I'm like, "Where is it? Where is it?" And then I was like, "Oh, there it is! I found it." I was so happy, when I just searched for it and all on Prime. It was so cool. I was like, "Oh, there it is! Finally, I got the
Yeah,
right
it's
one."
kind of hard because you have to put the whole name in,
Yeah,
if anyone wants to go
yeah,
in there. The World of Worlds Part One, so because it just started, it just got on there. So I guess it hasn't got to a point where you can just put World of Worlds and it'll pop up. You have to put Part One on
uh-huh.
there,
I didn't even put
and then
part
it shows.
one,
Oh
and
no, okay, so maybe it's just raising up a little bit. That helps.
yeah, yeah. All I did was like just put that, but it took a while. I was like scrolling down, keep
Yeah,
looking,
yeah.
and there it was. I was like, wow. So I'm like, I know he told me it was on here, I was like, but yeah, I couldn't wait to watch it. It was really, it's really good so far. It's got my attention, and like I said, I give you a good rating. So, but yeah, it was really good. I can't wait to finish,
No, man. I mean,
see the rest of them.
I really appreciate. Yeah, I appreciate you, Jim. I mean, you giving me a chance to explain my movie and what I'm doing and why we're doing it, and get to know me, so people who are interested in that can start, actually know who I am and what my crew's about, what we're all about.
Right.
We don't really get that chance as much, and then you're giving us that opportunity. It's big. I
It,
really appreciate that. We'll never forget it, how no
oh,
matter how
thanks.
big we get. We want to get big too. So that means you're going to have first dibs forever.
Yeah.
So get ready for that.
And the thing,
So I hope you grow too. I hope you
cool.
grow with me.
Thanks.
Yeah.
This is my passion, man. This is what I like to do. I'm trying to be. I want to be the voice of the independent movie people and all. To tell you the truth,
Cool.
I felt like really when I think what basically how it sort of started with me was like Netflix and different things, and I was looking at different things, movies even on YouTube, and I'm like, wow, this is cool, and I couldn't figure. I
Yeah.
was trying to figure out my niche in on our podcast and all. I was like, what should I be? And so that's why we came up
Yeah.
with. If you look, as my son actually wrote the about our podcast and what it's all about was, I'm the voice of the independents, and I also talk to Christian actors, and I also, because I feel that even the Christian movies and stuff are still considered like independent movies. And I thought, you know what, I'm gonna include these guys. I'm gonna include everybody, that I can, to talk to about this. And I'm talking not just to directors. I'm talking, I love talking to directors and producers, but I also love talking to actors, and I also I'm talking to people that are doing things in movies. I got I forget the guy's name that I'm going to be talking to, that, and you were saying one of the guys that does music, just for movies. I'm going to be talking to him, and I'm trying to get some stunt people to talk to. I've
Oh,
talked to
cool.
a couple you know people that was in music. I talked to a Christian rapper. So I just try to get the all around things, as far as entertainment, to get the word out. Like I said, I really appreciate you guys. You guys have a passion. You're just like us in a way. You're the blue collar workers, so to speak. I feel,
Yeah.
and that's what I like. You guys are one of us. Don't get me wrong. I mean, I really, I feel privileged just to even talk to you and your act and all the actors and all. But you know, I just feel like you're all just like part of us. You're part of the workers and stuff. And that's the way I look at it. And that's what
Well,
I.
thank you. I mean, we need guys like you who want to give the indie artists a chance to speak. And really in particular, the sci-fi and action genre of filmmakers out there who
Right.
really don't get the chance too much because most of the time most of these places want like Jimmy lost his mom type of thing. And don't get me wrong, listen, I love my dramas, I love my thrillers. Don't get me wrong, I plan to do those as well. But they don't give the opportunity for people who want to do something really really exciting, like an action or sci-fi.
Right.
And you giving us giving me the platform for a little bit to explain these things and get our name out there.
Right.
That's really really big. And you were saying something too. I just want to mention really quick. You were mentioning that you're going to get other people in other sectors of movie making, and
Right.
explain their side,
Hmm.
which is really cool.
Hmm.
And I think that's really great. And I think there's one thing I do want to bring up for anyone who, for directors and anyone who wants to direct or whatever, even for veterans. But one thing I noticed, and I think is really big, is you know directors or producers like picking, for example, people in post. For an example, a musician. I think a lot of times, a lot of directors, a lot of producers will go out and they would just pick. They would just go out and look for, and especially indie really, will go out and look for a composer. They look for a composer, and a lot of times they think that all composers do the same thing. There's one thing that's a pet peeve for me because music was my number one passion years
Oh
ago when I
yeah.
first started. I mean, I went to music school, five times college. And one thing is that these guys are not the same. And I think that any filmmaker out there or anyone interested in doing anything like this, especially if you need a composer to do anything, please go on their site or whatever and listen to their music and see if their music fits what you have so far without them writing anything for you. And if it does, and you hear their stuff and it's like that stuff right there, I can throw it into my scene right now. That's the woman or the man that you need to speak to.
Right.
But always understand that composers are just like any musician. You're not going to put Jay Z to make a symphony. It's not what he does. You know,
Yeah. I'm
like
sorry,
they'll
but
say,
I got.
stop thinking, yeah,
Yeah.
it's not going to happen,
No.
and they think that they're all the same, and that's big with me, and that's
You're right.
why the guys I get, for my music or even for special effects. I mean, there are guys who do special effects. Everyone has a taste and a skill set. Illustrators, same thing. You have to be able to see their stuff. So, on yours already before they even do anything for you. And one big thing before we go is back to composers, guys, understand something. If you can, do not give those guys a 10 track. I know Hollywood guys do it too, or whatever. But let me tell you something. That a little secret. They hate that. I hate that, and
Hmm.
you should hate that too. You know why you should hate that? Because it takes time for you to pick a song or a piece to put it into a scene that took a lot of time to make. You put that time into getting that piece to put it together. You put it together, and then you give it to somebody and say, "I want it to sound something like that." The
Hmm.
problem is, it didn't take you like 5 minutes to do that. It probably take you several days or maybe a whole day, but enough that those sounds are embedded in your head. So now the poor composer is fighting against that sound.
Hmm.
Even if the sound sounds great, now he's fighting or she's fighting against that. And to you, if it doesn't sound something near to that, it sounds wrong in your ears. So you just pretty much poisoned your ears. Temp tracks poisons your ears. Stop that. What you want to do is say, you know what? If you're not sure how to explain yourself as a director or producer or for a scene to a composer, just say this to them. Just say, I want the feeling to be this way. Because then they will know, okay, this is where you want their feelings to go. You say, yes, I want their feelings to rise here, drop here. Then I want them to be terrified here. And then at this point, that's when I want that melodramatic push right there.
Right.
That's what you have to say. And then from there, they say, okay, I got this. And then from there, then we work it out.
I
But
see.
don't
Hmm.
don't poison your ears and your brain with a song already. And then it's like they're fighting against it and they can't win. You give them, they can't win. So that's one of the big things I always speak to other filmmakers about or whatever, even on my own
Hmm.
blog at times. And it's just one of those things where I learn over time. And I think, and a lot of them do that, big and small.
Hmm.
And I feel for them, and I feel for the composers, and even for the visual effects artists and all those guys, because I know a lot of them, and they all complain about the same thing. I'm like,
Hmm.
yeah, I get it. Because
Well,
film school told them,
well, yeah,
whatever.
I'll hopefully be able to talk to this guy. I forget his name. That's why sometimes I book all these people and sometimes I
Ask him
forget.
about that. If you think
But
you're
I
very close to
will.
him, ask
Yeah.
him about that.
Yeah, I will. I
Ask him about
will.
temp tracks. If you like temp tracks, I bet you he'd be like, oh God, no.
He does okay, I know he's an award winner. He also has some of his music on Spotify. And it's all basically like horror kind of, sounds, which is cool. I'm sitting there listening to it and I'm like, "Oh, wow, I think I might have heard this in some movie, you know. They all sound really good, you know." But I sat there, I was like, "Hey, do you got anything on Spotify? Let me hear your music." And he's like, "Oh yeah." I'm like, "Okay, cool." So it was interesting. I like just instrumentals sometimes just to relax, but
Yeah,
it's pretty
I'm digging
cool,
that.
you know.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah, it
there,
is.
there,
I write the score.
yeah. The thing is with me was I always was told if you really are afraid of scary and horrible movies or horror movies and stuff like that, turn the sound down and watch it that way
You scared of
because
it? You said it.
because
Right.
it's the music. When you hear, like, let's just say, like, the Halloween movie, you know what's going to happen next. But if you turn that down, sometimes it won't make you as afraid, even though you know what's going to happen next. I've always been told that, because
No,
I
right.
never really. Someone was saying that one time, and I was like, you know what? I want to try that one of these days. But it works. It does. Well, it worked for me anyway. But I was older, and how do you say it? I'm already, you know, I can't think of the word, but you know what I mean. I've seen so much of this stuff. It just I'm immune to it now, so to
Oh,
speak.
well, yeah, all the years that we've watched these things, yeah,
Yeah.
after a while you're like, and that's why it's great when you actually watch one that actually does get you. You're like, wow, okay, it was good. They got me like that. I watch these things a million times, but that's why 50% of the experience, and that's why it's
Yeah.
so vital. And I think that's why, as a filmmaker, you must get somebody who makes the music already
Right.
for you. Like, there's nothing for you to really tell them. They should just look at it because you already did your homework with them. So that's such a big deal with me. And I'm like, guys, you got to stop going out there asking these composers about doing things, and you didn't even listen to their music.
Right.
That's insane. And so I have these things too. So yeah, it just stuff like that. Oh, and I just have to say this.
Go
I know
ahead.
you got other stuff, but it's real quick. Filmmakers out there, guys. I'm a self-made filmmaker. I went through the process so many times in so many ways just to kind of create what I want to create. And one thing I learned that you need to do is edit. This concept of filming everything, going through the process, casting, going through all this work, and after you film all these things, I'm hoping that when you film a scene or a shot, you film that scene specifically to either follow or go behind another scene. It's a pattern. That's the whole point of movies. Is this images flying, in front of each other, and then you give it to an editor. Well, it makes no sense to me. I mean, I see if you with the editor and you guys sit down and kind of go over it or give notes or her notes, and that's cool. But editing is really pretty much the making of the movie. I mean, that's the storytelling right there.
Mm-hmm.
And if you do all that and give it to somebody else, unless that person is so, you're so connected to that person, you have to twine spiritually or just mentally with that person so much, which is a rare thing. And if you're not, then what's the point of filming anything if you're going to let somebody else cook? Why, like they say, like, hey, Bill Parcells that a long time ago with the Cowboys. Why am I going to buy all the groceries? I'm not, and I'm not going to be able to cook it. That is like, what's the whole point of doing what you're doing? It takes so much time to do any of this. Filmmaking is such an arduous task. And if anybody's going to now say, okay, give me your stuff, I want to put it the way I want to do it, that makes no sense to me. Film schools will tell you these things, and they say, oh, these guys are pros, the editors, and this, and that, and the other. I'll tell you the truth right now. That is why you have 70% of movies out there are crap, because there are too many hands in the pot.
Right.
And the guys, the directors that inspire you, the guys that you grew up with, even to this day that you love, what do? There is a common denominator. Write and edit. There's an editor, but if you see it behind the scenes, or when you speak to them, what are they doing? They're sitting down with the editor saying, do this, do that, try this, do this, do this. It's too much. There are too much variations within a movie that's in your head and no one can see. To give it to somebody else and expect it to be just the way you like it, it makes no sense. So to me, I'm a big proponent of that. People can hate me if they want or say whatever, but you know what? Don't listen to me. Look at the movies. Look at the credits. Look at what they do. And then look at the guys who had the big movies, the main ones, Peter Jackson, James Cameron, Spielberg, Robert Rodriguez. These guys all have a common denominator, and this is why you love their movies so much. You love The Terminator, you love Avatar, you love Lord of the Rings. You got Robert Rodriguez who's making Sin City and all these others that he made. They all do what? Write, edit, direct. Write, edit, direct. That's the common denominator. There is not an easy way around this, guys. All you filmmakers, there's no cut around. If you don't want to do the hard work, get out. Because you're wasting time by filling our eyes up with garbage. Let the guys go out there who really can make some really good stuff and let them just entertain us. And if you want to go out there, do what you have to do. And if it works for you, just so be it. But I think that when it comes down to it, I'm not going to be a mechanic and can't drive the car.
Right.
So it's one of those things. So Jim, when you speak to these editors or you speak to these filmmakers later on and stuff, I think especially when the indie, I think you're going to hear something that we all sound alike. We do the editing, the writing, most of the time the editing and directing. So yeah. So I just had to put my little soapbox on there.
Oh, that's okay. Thank you. I'm sure. People watching this will, take note. And that's what it's about, man.
I admire all filmmakers. Don't get me wrong. I admire all of them. It's such a hard thing to do. It's just some of them are just strayed the wrong way.
I want to say my editor is sort of connected to me, so I usually help. He usually knows what I want, which isn't too bad. That he's my son.
You got it good, man. I tell you, man, rare breeze, bro. Rare breeze. I don't know hearing a filmmaker one time saying when I was actually speaking about this to them, and he came to me and said, well, they make it a different angle I didn't think about. True. And I said, well, you should know all the angles you want. And the guy was like, well, I don't know every shot in the movie. And I'm like, you're a director and you don't know every shot in the movie? If I was the executive, I would have fired you.
Wow.
That's what I told him. You better know every single shot of that movie. You're the director and the writer, for Christ's sake. Are you kidding me?
Hmm.
So it was to the point of one thing you always hear a lot of actors say about anybody who runs anything, especially a producer or director, what you always hear all the time, is that they know exactly what they want. You know,
Mm-hmm. Right.
Jim Seacrest is doing his show. He knows exactly who he wants. He knows exactly where he wants to go. That gives everyone more confidence who wants to work with you or even want to interview with you because you
Right.
have an ethic.
Right.
When you start hearing things like, I don't know what I want to do, really. I'm just going to see how it works. That
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 doesn't
just
work.
don't sound very good.
That doesn't work.
You know what I'm saying?
I try to do my research as much as I can, to tell you the truth, Barry.
Right. And that's what separates, that's what separates the good and the bad. That's just, like what classroom you want to be in,
Right.
what kind of group of people you want to be associated with. I mean, some people just don't care, and that's fine. That's their prerogative. You know what I mean? But I prefer people who know exactly what they want, and I think actors and everyone feels so much better when you hear them on interviews all the
Mm-hmm.
time. Hey, this guy knew exactly what he wanted. When the guy did Aquaman recently, this kid, he's young. I don't know if he's a kid, but he looks really young. And when he did Aquaman, one thing behind the scenes, the guy was saying, even to this day, he said he knew exactly what he wanted.
Right.
You hear him say the same thing because that gives him like, okay, I don't have to worry about guessing. If I have a disagreement with him, he can explain exactly what he's looking for, and then we can have an intelligent conversation.
And that brings
So,
a confidence as well. As far
yeah,
as your actors and everything. If someone knows what they want, then that gives the actor a more of a confidence that go ahead and do this. Because this is what he
right.
wants. You know.
Yeah, you gotta know what you want. You gotta know why you do it. I mean,
Right.
you see, my movie, of course, is low budget and everything. I know exactly what I want. There's some things I can't do,
Right.
and I just have to kind of compensate. But I know where it's going. I know exactly scenes. I mean, I know exactly shot by shot by shot. And when I put it all together, that's when I start to make my adjustments. But
Right.
trust me, if I sat here and tell you about the next one, I can tell you every single shot, angle, and lens I'm using.
That's awesome,
You
man.
know,
Yeah.
that's the whole point of you even calling yourself a director or a filmmaker. That's
Right.
how the brain works. And I think that all filmmakers, you're going to hear a lot of them say that. We all kind of have that crazy head
Yeah.
that we know every little single thing. We're just hoping people like it. So we do our best, and that's all we can do.
It's like you have that picture in your head already. You know exactly what goes where and where it goes and how it goes. I mean, and that's
Right,
and
right.
that's the and that's the brilliance of making movies itself, by which you know what you want and you want that dream to come true in your movie, and how you want it portrayed by your actors and the effects and everything like that. And that's really
Yeah.
the bottom
Even
line.
yeah, right. Even with the effects, man, like, hey, yeah, I know what effects I'm going to put here and how we can do it, and even if the guy can't do the effect that well, I know how we can get around it.
Right.
Put a little color here, thicken it up over here. Can you do this? I mean, just knowing all those little things, just to kind of help you along as much as you can when you have no money. So I just want to tell the filmmakers out there before we run, man, that listen, guys, girls, go out there and just film. Don't worry about the budget. Don't worry about not having everything perfect. It's not going to be like that, because even if you had a budget and everybody's there ready to go, it's always something that's going to be wrong that you're going to have to compensate for and make adjustments. So in the meantime, you know what? We're in a day and age that we can just make our material. My man can have his own podcast, and we don't even need a distributor if we don't want to. We don't need anybody but ourselves and a light bill. As long as we pay it, we can get things moving.
Right.
And I think that. So, all you filmmakers, no matter what it is, stop. Don't wait. There's no reason to wait. I didn't wait. Of course, mine can be better. Of course, I can get better cinematography. I know that. We all do. My main concern and your main concern should be, are they entertained? Are people having fun watching it? Of
Right.
course they're going to see the shortcomings. That's like almost in anything you make in any movie. The
Right.
whole thing is that do they have fun watching it? And then that's what people are really going to gravitate to you. They may say, yeah, it doesn't look it's a little campy, or maybe the acting wasn't as good, but you know what? All in all, it was fun.
Right.
And when they say that, you did your job. So just go out there and do it. Don't worry about anybody and be bullheaded. Just be bullheaded and keep on going. So that's my thing for everybody.
Okay. Thank you so much, Barry Gaines.
Thank you,
I,
man.
I I really appreciate you coming on and talking to me about your your movies, and I sure hope that you come back and we'll talk some more. I can't, guys, check out A World of Worlds, a World of Worlds. It's on Prime. One more time, a world of worlds. and and
Or go to Games
it,
Entertainment.
it's Gains, yeah, Gains Entertainment, exactly.
Yeah, if you can't pronounce it, just go there.
Yeah, we'll put
And on the links there.
you know what, we'll put your we'll also put, when we do this, we'll put your page or your your website. We can throw that up so people can look
Do you
at
have
that.
a few pictures you want to take? Do you have any stills that I give you?
Yeah,
Do
we'll get to, we'll get them in. But like I said, guys, thank you so much for tuning in, and thank you so much, Barry Gaines. So much success to you and your movies, and thank you guys. Have a good night.